So I want to tell you a little bit of a story and what I really mean by disconnection to nature in the natural world. I believe the year was 1999. Yes, I'm giving my age away here, Put in the comments if you can work out my age from that. So I was 5 years old in 1999, okay? And I was at Flamingo Land, which is like this really fun, really cool theme park in Yorkshire, I believe it is. It's got a zoo, it's got roller coasters, it's got kiddie rides, it's got everything. And I loved it. We used to caravan there for our holidays, our summer holidays when I was a kid. But I love Flamingo Land, and we were caravanning there 1999. And back in the 90s, they probably didn't have the same kind of animal welfare rights as they do in 2026. It was, pushing 30 years ago now. And they used to have a polar bear. If you've ever been to the zoo in Flamingo Land in the 90s, the polar bear was iconic, but it was somewhat controversial because a lot of people used to say the same thing. A polar bear shouldn't be there. It's out of its natural environment. It's not humane. It's a problem. It's unhealthy for the polar bear. It's not good for its physical and mental health. And anyways, I remember people saying that back at the time. And I went to see it as 5 years old, and I'm standing next to the polar bear enclosure. And it's just a enclosure, maybe about half the size of a football pitch, maybe like the size of a five-a-side court or a basketball court. And it's got a bit of water it can swim in, and it's got like a thing it can stand on. It's got like a ledge it can jump off into the pool with, and it's got a little sleeping area. But apart from that, it's almost like a prison cell. It's a prison cell for this polar bear, and it shouldn't be there. And I remember vividly having the visceral reaction as a 5-year-old kid, looking at it and just saying something was wrong. It wasn't relaxed. It was pacing up and down. It almost had like this very robotic look on its face. It wouldn't look up even though there was people around it, and it would just pace back and forth, the same spot, almost to like psychotic levels. And it doesn't take a David Attenborough level nature genius to work out that that's probably quite stressful. That's the polar bear exhibiting a stress response. And at 5 years old, I recognized this. I turned to my grandma. Obviously, I was about that big at 5 years old. So I turned and looked up at my grandma. My grandma was there, and she was looking after me. She was standing watching the polar bear, and I went, "Grandma, what's wrong with the polar bear?" And she went, "Oh, he's depressed." And I went, what does depressed mean? I remember being a 5-year-old kid. I never heard of that word before. I was like, what's depressed, Grandma? And she went, "Oh, he's just really sad." I went, "Why is he sad?" And my grandma went, "Well, he lives in the North Pole," or whatever she said. "Shouldn't be here. It's actually cruel. We shouldn't have an animal that big like this and in a small enclosure on his own with no one, out of his environment. It's really sad." And I'm thinking, oh, okay, that makes sense. Well, humans are animals. And when we are taken out of our natural environment, we're going to suffer consequences, physical and emotional. Now, it's not as extreme as the polar bear getting plucked out of the North Pole and then being plonked in a zoo in the middle of Yorkshire. I don't mean out of our environment like that, but all of us can admit we're on our screens far too much. People are on social media far too much. A lot of our friendships are online now. We're more disconnected than ever. We're not seeing people as much. We're not speaking to people as much. We don't have a sense of community like we used to. Chatting on dating sites and swiping Tinder at 3 a.m. in the morning, or getting their intimacy needs met via the digital world. And that represents modern day spiritual and psychological disconnection for the human race. So one of the things I'm looking at with my clients is, well, first of all, how are they eating? Are they eating processed or very unprocessed food? That's going to have certain spiritual and psychological consequences. What's their sleep pattern like? Are they sleeping like a human should? Going to bed when it gets dark, waking up when it gets light, having about 8 to 10 hours of rest and recovery, or are they staying in bed all day, or are they scrolling all night, or have they not got a sleep routine? So is sleep being impacted? Does this person go outside enough? You wouldn't believe how many people come to me and I say, "How often do you go outside?" "Oh, some days I don't even leave the house at all, Sam." And I'm like, well, is it any wonder why you feel depressed? Humans are not supposed to stay cooped up indoors. We're supposed to be breathing in the fresh air, getting vitamin D from the sunlight, connecting with people, having something to do, moving around. Another one, how many people come to me, "Sam, I'm really struggling with food noise, my mental health." And I say, "Are you doing any form of movement?" I don't say exercise, I just say movement. I don't think you have to exercise in the traditional sense. I think you just have to move your body. And my advice for clients is move your body in fun and exciting ways that you are more likely to adhere to. A lot of people reach out to me who are struggling with food noise, struggling with emotional eating, struggling with their mental health, and I'll say, "Do you do any form of movement?" And they might have a valid reason as to why they can't do certain things. "I've got a knee injury, I've got a hip replacement, I'm going through a health issue right now." Like, okay, what about 10 minutes of walking a day? "Well, it's cold outside or it's winter and I don't have a coat." And I'm being a little bit humorous, a little bit ironic now, but I mean it. So many people don't move at all. Some people don't even leave the house. Staying in the house, they're on screens all day, they're getting artificial light, they're staying up all night on their phone, they're not going outside, they're disconnected from nature, they're not seeing people, they're not breathing in fresh air, they're not moving their body, they're eating ultra-processed food. That is the human modern-day equivalent of the polar bear being taken away from the North Pole and plonked in the middle of a zoo in Yorkshire and exhibiting physical and emotional consequences. Humans living the modern way we are right now, if we're not careful, is exactly the same thing. It's a spiritual disconnect. It's a violation against Mother Nature. So void number 5 is, are you living like a human is supposed to live?